Beyond the Red House, where we turn trauma into triumph and pain into purpose. I'm Kayla author of I Was Once the Girl in the Red House. And I believe in the power of authentic healing stories. This is a space where your voice matters, your story heals, and your journey inspires others to break their own cycles. Whether you're just beginning your healing or years into building your new life, you belong here. Let's explore what it means to move beyond the red houses that hurt us and build the lives we actually deserve. Welcome back to Beyond the Red House. I'm your host, Kayla Valterno. When speaking to people who are on their healing journeys, they always say the same thing. There was a breaking point where they realized that they have no other choice but to try and heal. Most of us have been taught our entire lives that our feelings don't matter. We were meant to stay broken. That's how society wants us to stay small and silent. No matter what happened to you to cause your trauma, healing is a way to truly take your life back and say, you know what, trauma? You don't control me anymore. You have no more power over me. Now, we all hear people say, you have to do the work if you want to heal. And you've heard my story about how I've healed myself through writing. And you've heard my guests speak about their own healing journeys. So I want to dive deeper on this episode to talk about a question that always comes to many of our minds. Okay, well, then how do you heal? As you know, healing is different for everyone. So I will be diving into researching different healing techniques and methods that have worked for others. If you have a method that worked for you in your healing process, I would love to hear from you. So this week, I will be discussing creative outlets. And since I've discussed writing, I won't go into too much detail with writing. I really want to talk about others: music, drawing, painting, baking, dance, so much more. So, why does creative expression have such a powerful impact on healing? From what I've experienced and learned from others on this journey, there's something really special about it. You know how you feel something so deeply, but when someone asks you how to explain it, you just can't find the words. I know that happens to me all the time. There are these feelings and experiences that are just too big or too complex for a regular conversation. But when we create, whether it's through music, art, movement, or whatever, we're giving those feelings a different way to come out. Think about it. Have you ever listened to a song that perfectly captured how you were feeling, even though you couldn't have put it into words yourself? Or maybe you've seen a piece of art that made you feel understood on a level you didn't know existed. That's what I'm talking about. Creative expression speaks a different language. The language of our hearts, our souls, our deepest selves. I've also noticed that when I'm personally creating something, whether it's writing or even just doodling, there's this moment where everything else just falls away. My worries, my anxiety, that constant mental chatter, it just becomes quiet. It's like my mind finally has permission to focus on one thing, and in that focus, I find some peace. But here's what I think is the most powerful thing about creative healing. It's not about being good at whatever you're doing, because trust me, I cannot draw to save my life, but that doesn't matter. It's not about creating a masterpiece or performing for others. You're not going to be the next Picasso. It's about the process itself. It's about giving yourself permission to Express what's inside of you without the judgment of others, without having to make it pretty or perfect or even acceptable to anyone else. When we create, we're taking something that's been living inside us, our pain, our joy, our confusion, and our hope, and we're putting that into somewhere outside of ourselves. And we're putting it somewhere outside of ourselves. We're giving it form, giving it life in a different way. And sometimes just that act of getting it out can provide incredible relief. Let me walk you through some different creative outlets and how they can specifically support healing. Music and sound. There is something magical about music and how it reaches us. I don't fully understand it, but I know there's certain songs that can instantly transport me back to a feeling, or the lyrics can help me process something I'm going through right now. When you listen to music, sing, hum, or even just tap along to a beat, something shifts in your body. I have noticed that when I'm anxious, putting on music and letting myself sing or hum along sometimes helps me breathe a little easier. And creating music, and I'm talking about singing in your car, humming while you work, or even just drumming on your steering wheel because you have a good beat going. It gives you a way to literally move those emotions through your body. And you don't have to be a singer or a musician. You just need to be willing to make sounds and see how it feels. Now, visual arts, drawing, painting, sculpting, it gives us a way to externalize our internal world. When you put a paintbrush to a canvas or a pencil to paper, you are taking what's inside and putting it outside of yourself. I love that with visual arts, you do not have to be an artist. You can just grab some cheap supplies from the dollar store and start moving color around, scribbling red, angry lines when you're furious. Maybe you paint some soft blues when you're sad. Just letting your hands move without your brain getting in the way. And clay work and sculpting can especially be powerful for trauma healing because it engages with your sense of touch. It allows you to reshape something with your hands. And there's something so empowering about being able to mold and change something in a world where we often feel so powerless. And movement and dance. I truly can't dance. I have always been so self-conscious of how I looked, never letting myself just move to the music. But during my healing journey, it taught me that movement isn't about looking good, always. It's about feeling good. Our bodies hold so much. We carry that tension, stress, old wounds, unexpressed emotions, and movement gives us a way to let go of some of that. And you don't need to be a trained dancer. You could just put some music on in your living room and just dance it out. Let your body move however it feels the need to move. Maybe you need to stomp your feet when you're angry, or you need to just sway gently when you're sad. Or maybe you just need to jump up and down and shake because you're tired of feeling stuck. I remember a time that I put music on and I just let my body move however it wanted to, and I just felt so much lighter after, like I had physically let go of something I didn't know I was carrying. So now I do dance parties in my living room with my kids. When we're having a bad day, we dance it out. Now, I know I've talked about writing before, but there are so many ways to use writing for our healing. Not just journaling or my unsent letters. One of my personal favorite ways to write is poetry. Poetry helps you capture emotion and experiences in such an abstract way. And sometimes, I know for me, our trauma doesn't fit into this nice, neat, logical sentence. Maybe you need some imagery and some rhythm, and there's just something so satisfying about painting a picture with your words through your emotions and just pouring into a poem, because there's just something special about poetry. And storytelling, maybe you're creating a fictional world where you could create different things to help you process your own emotions. Or, of course, memoir style, such as my book. But it can help you make sense of your experiences and even rewrite some things. Some people, they write to their younger selves or create fictional characters who go through similar experiences, but the characters maybe get that love or support that they were craving. And there's also stream of consciousness writing, where you just write whatever comes to your mind without editing or censoring. If you're constantly thinking like I am, that is an absolute easy thing to do. It just comes to your mind. And it can help you access thoughts or feelings you forgot you had. Maybe a memory comes to mind and you're like, wow, okay, that makes sense now. One of my personal favorites, this might not sound like a creative outlet at first, but cooking and baking can be incredibly healing. There's something nurturing about feeding yourself and others, maybe your family. It could be a way of showing love and care. And the process itself can be meditative, kneading the bread, chopping vegetables, measuring ingredients. These repetitive hands-on activities can help calm an overactive nervous system. And there's something so powerful about creating something that nourishes. Maybe if you grew up in a home where you weren't well cared for, learning how to cook for yourself can be a way to reparent yourself. Or maybe giving yourself the nourishment you needed, but you didn't receive as a child. And I know for me, baking cookies, there's something about it. When I'm having a tough time and I'm just angry, sometimes I just go and I bake cookies. And guess what? It's great because it gives you a snack after. Crafting and building. Now, truly, this is not my expertise. But whether you're knitting, doing some woodworking, making some jewelry, or maybe some other type of hands-on craft where you get to work with your hands and create something, it can be incredibly grounding and soothing. There's something about that repetitive motion, maybe the knitting stitches, the sanding of wood, the beading of jewelry. It seems to calm whatever's spinning in your head. And at the end, you have something that didn't exist before, and you created that, so pat on the back. I've talked to people who have said that learning to knit helped them through anxiety attacks and having something to focus their hands and mind on when their body calms down. And others have talked about how building something with their hands, it makes them feel strong and capable, and in a world where they often feel powerless. There's just something so powerful about creating something that wasn't there before. I truly wish I was a crafting girly, but that is not me. So I want to share something personal with you about my own relationship with creative healing beyond writing. So for years, very, very long time, I thought I wasn't creative. I even had an art teacher tell me that art is not my thing because I couldn't draw. I absolutely could not dance. And I had this very narrow definition of creativity that basically excluded me from participating in many different things. But when I started my healing journey, I began to realize that creativity isn't about being good at something. I had to put my perfectionism aside. It's about expressing something. It's about giving yourself permission to play, to explore, to make a mess, and try something new. I started baking when I was going through a particularly difficult period in my healing journey, and I was never trying to be the next great baker. I just needed something to do with my hands that would result in something comforting. And there's always something soothing about measuring ingredients, following the recipe, not having to do much thinking, and creating something that would nourish me and the people that I care about. Plus, my go-to chocolate chip cookies are always a favorite in my house. For me, music has always been an escape ever since I was a kid. But I learned to change that a little bit. And I discovered that listening to music while I cleaned my house became a form of creative expression for me. I would put on different types of music depending on how I'm feeling, trying to make a good cleaning playlist. And I would let the rhythm guide me how I moved through my cleaning process. I would just start dancing while I'm cleaning. It turned a chore into a way of processing emotions and moving energy throughout my body. The key for me was letting go of the need to be good at anything and pushing my perfectionism aside and instead focusing on what felt good in my body and my soul. So, how do you start incorporating creative expression into your healing journey? First, forget everything you think you know about being creative. You don't need to be artistic or talented. You just need to be willing to experiment and play. And start small. Grab whatever supplies you could easily have access to, even if it's just a pen or paper, or using an app on your phone to create music or digital art. Pay attention to what draws you in. Are you someone who needs to move your body? So try putting music on and just moving however feels good. Or are you someone who needs to process through your hands? Try clay, drawing, cooking. Are you someone who processes through sound? Try humming, singing, or listening to music that matches your emotions. Set aside judgment. This is not about creating something beautiful or impressive. You don't have to show anyone this. It's about creating a pathway for expression and release. And try to make it a regular practice, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. Maybe draw while you drink your morning coffee, or you dance while you're making dinner, or writing your poetry before bed. And don't worry about the end results. Focus on the process. How does it feel in your body while you're creating? Maybe what emotions come up? What do you notice shifting or releasing? Creative expression is one of our birthright ways of processing and healing. We've all been creative since we were children, but we learned to shut that part of ourselves down when we were told to color inside the lines and sit still, be quiet, or maybe like me, you had a teacher who told you, you're not good at this. But healing gives us permission to reclaim that creative part of ourselves. It gives us permission to play, to explore, to make those messes, to express what can't be put into words. And your creativity does not have to look like anyone else's. because your healing does not look like anyone else's. And trust yourself to know what you need and what feels good in your body and your soul. I want you to remember this is for you, not someone else, for you. Whatever makes you feel better. And I want to hear from you. What creative outlets have helped you in your healing journey? What have you tried that surprised you? And what are you curious about trying? Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. So I would love to hear from you guys. And remember, you deserve to heal. You deserve to express yourself. And you deserve to create, play, and explore. Your trauma doesn't get to have the final say in your story. So thank you so much for being here with me today and for choosing to heal, for choosing to grow, and choosing to reclaim your life and your voice. I will see you next Thursday for another episode of Beyond the Red House, where we continue this journey of healing together. Take care of yourself, and remember, you are worthy of all the healing, all the creativity, and all the joy that this life has to offer. I'll see you next time. Your healing matters. Your story matters. And you matter. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Red House. If you have a story to share or want to connect, email me at hello@kaylavalterno.com. Visit kaylavalterno.com for my book and resources to support your healing journey. Everything will be in the show notes. Keep building beyond whatever tried to break you. You are stronger than you know. This is Beyond the Red House.